Hi, I'm Frankie, and in this video, I want to share details about the recently announced Azure AI Search serverless offering that just became available in Microsoft Azure. Before we get into it, who am I? I'm Frankie Riviera. I used to work for Microsoft, helping enterprise businesses build AI and Azure solutions. Now I'm a Microsoft Azure MVP that helps businesses save time, solve problems, and make more money with Azure AI solutions. So, what is Azure AI Search? If you're not already familiar, Azure AI Search is a cloud service that transforms data into AI-powered searchable insights. If you're building solutions on Azure, specifically AI solutions, Azure AI Search is what's used to power all of the RAG patterns or RAG scenarios for those Azure AI agents. It's how you retrieve information and give it back to the agent. Azure AI Search is always used. Azure AI Search has two jobs. It indexes information. So from any of your data sources, SharePoint or the web or your blob storage, other types of structured data, Cosmos DB, it takes information and it indexes it. It puts it in an index. Sometimes it will index it into embeddings or vectors. And then it can query those indexes. So it indexes and it queries. Those are the only two things that Azure AI Search does. And now how it's typically been billed before this new serverless offering became available is that you'd pick a specific tier, some tier that had some set cost to it. And that cost was calculated based on how many replicas you had, which was your computing power that you would choose, and how many partitions you'd have, which is a set of storage that would be available for your indexes, in a set amount for vector storage. And then you take your replicas and you take your partitions and multiply them together to get your search units, which you would then pay for. And you pay for search units based on whatever tier you were on. One replica, one partition equaled one search unit, three replicas, three partitions equaled 9 search units, that kind of thing. And it was a fixed hourly rate. It was always running. You'd pay for your AI search resource, and 24 hours a day, whether it was being used or not, you're paying for it. Now, why was AI search built this way? Why has it been this way? Well, you'd have provision capacity. So when somebody started using AI search, you would be dedicating the hardware that you're going to be using so that it's always available at all times. And this is still going to be a benefit to people who decide to continue to use the dedicated provisioned capacity. It's helpful for predictable costs. Businesses would know how much they're actually going to be paying each month with this predictable dedicated AI search model. And in my opinion, I think it's probably also easier for Microsoft to set up this billing structure originally when they first made AI search available. It's easier to calculate, hey, how much partitions and how many replicas are we going to bill people for? And we just calculated that out. They've got set capacity. There's a lot more involved when Microsoft is trying to figure out how to bill for the pay-as-you-go offering or the serverless offering, which is now why it's available, because they've taken the time now to figure out, okay, what are all the things we need to calculate and measure in order to actually bill for the pay-as-you-go. And now we're finally there. The downside to billing it that old way is just you were getting billed for unused capacity and unused compute sometimes. So now we have the serverless offering. It is currently in public preview, so you do want to be careful not to use this in production workloads right now. And serverless just means you're paying for the work that your AI search is actually doing and not just for this reserved capacity, right? So you're only paying for the querying, the indexing that's actually occurring, and the storage that's actually being stored, the data that's actually being stored for your indexes, and not anything extra. It's a huge benefit of the cloud, right? This is a big reason why companies even move to the cloud, is to take advantage of the pay-as-you-go options. So now how the serverless billing actually works. There's 2 meters to be aware of, and they're part of their own fixed rate that's going to be created later. So there's the compute. They're creating this idea of compute unit hours that will take place for querying and indexing. And then there's storage. When you have compute, there's queries that are taking place, or there's indexing that's taking place. When there is nothing, no queries, no indexing taking place for 10 minutes straight, then the compute drops to 0, and you're not paying for compute units per hour while there's no querying and no indexing happening. So that's helpful. But the storage, you're always paying for the storage because the index has to exist somewhere. And same with the vector storage that's in your vector index as well. So what determines a compute unit, right? This is the complexity that Microsoft had to figure out in order to make this pay-as-you-go option. And it's things like, how complex is your query? What are the things you're putting into your query? How large is your index? And how do you structure it, right? Do you have large JSON collection documents that are have embedded documents within them, or is it more just a flat structure, right? There's lots of different ways in which you can structure your index. The more complicated, the more complex your compute query will be. What's your document payload size you're trying to retrieve? Are you calling AI search for an AI agent and just trying to retrieve a couple documents, or a ton of documents? And that is also going to play a factor. Fields and results. So your index will have different types of fields, whether you want a field to be searchable that can actually be searched through when querying, whether you want a fields to come back and be retrievable. There's different types of features that can be added to your fields, and that increases the complexity of your index and the complexity of your queries, which will increase the complexity of your compute where that is taking place when you're actually querying. The search type matters too. There's several different types of search types, and when it comes to AI search, there's the simplest, which is just looking up. It's just a quick, simple query to AI search to get a specific document back from an index. There's also keyword search. So based on what we have traditionally known as keywords, the AI search will look in an index to find roughly specific keywords to get information back. Vector storage, this is a huge benefit when we started using large language models and we want to search for things based on meaning. So we're able to store the semantic meaning in vectors, or these high dimensional numeric values that could then quickly search for things that is based on how they're meant. And then there's times you want to use keyword and vector together, and we call that hybrid search. This is going to be the highest cost because it's just the most complicated. It's doing both keyword search and vector search, and then there's actually another step that Microsoft does behind the scenes to merge the results from keyword and vector together to decide what documents are most important for that keyword vector queries. So why was it built this way? Well, AI workloads are bursty. There's all kinds of different situations for AI solutions where they're working a lot at one point and then they're not working at other times, and that was a big waste for people when they're building different solutions. You pay really for what you use this time. You're going to save much more money if you have AI solutions that are not constantly running, or there's big spikes that occur at one time and you don't want to have to pay for the capacity for just those big spikes. You can't really capacity plan for this. It makes it a little bit more difficult, but you still will have some of the same features, APIs. It's going to still work all the same way in AI search. A few more notes. It is still in preview at the time of recording, so there's no SLA. It's not recommended for production. The migration, if you wanted to migrate from an existing dedicated AI search, right now there is no path for that. So you're going to start up new projects using the serverless capability. Then billing, right now, actually at the time of recording, it's not September 13th, and billing is currently free. You can use serverless all you want with AI search right now while you're testing it out. We don't actually know what the costs will be. The rates are not published yet, but be aware of that. And on September 13th, you're going to start getting billed the actual compute units and the storage that you actually are paying for your data for those indexes when you're using the serverless offering. Recommendation, use dedicated tier for the production right now and start testing and playing around with the serverless offering. In summary, AI search is the engine that makes all RAG scenarios and patterns work for AI agents in Azure. You can use the dedicated system or tier for AI search. That's what's been around for a while. It's a fixed hourly rate, but you need to make sure you're trying to use as much of that capacity as much as possible. Otherwise, you're probably losing money. Serverless is all about just paying for what you use. It's calculated with the compute unit hours and then the storage for your indexes. It's in preview today. There's no SLA, and it's free to use until September 13th, 2026. And if you want help with any of this stuff, I'm happy to help you. There's a link in the description if you want to apply to work with me. Lastly, I just want to show you in the Azure portal what this looks like is when you're choosing your AI search option, it's going to be here at the bottom where you choose the serverless offering. And you can see right now, it shows that the serverless offering is currently no cost until September 13th. You can see that the no cost for compute units or the storage cost per month. So you want to take advantage of it while you can. And then when I'm in an AI search serverless offering that's actually already deployed, I can come to scale and cost. And this is where you'll be able to see information about the usage that's taking place to better understand the cost breakdown, to help you with estimating your costs as you go on, because you're going to want to like use your serverless offering. You're going to want to make queries and index data. And then based on what the actual usage, you're going to come up with your own estimations to help you manage your billing and understanding what your costs are going to look like. Last thing I want to share, and I will put this link in the description, is that there is a whole doc page on how you can optimize your costs for serverless offering. It's actually super educational because it tells you a little bit more about how those costs are determined. And you can learn all about different ways that you can see the compute units that actually come back per query. And you can get a big list of all the different ways you can optimize your AI search service and the way in which you're using it, the schema, the indexes, the indexer, how you do your queries, different administrative requests, how you can improve your vector storage and costs, all of this. There's a lot here that can help you optimize your usage for AI search. So I'll put this link in the description. If this video was helpful for you, I'd appreciate if you liked the video and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more content like this. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. I answer every comment to help as many people as I can. And as always, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.